Hi, this is the video for the iris folding card featuring the woman in the dress. I've already printed out my template onto an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and I've actually printed it twice. This one I kept as it is. The other one I cut out, as you can see here. The next step is just to sit aside your full template on the full sheet of paper, and we're just going to deal with this cutout template. You will need a piece of paper for this one that is 8 inches by 5 inches. I found that works best for this particular template, and I use it on cards that are 9 by 6. So, working on the back of your paper, so let me flip it over, I'm going to place my woman onto my cardstock. Turn it around so you can see her, and just using a pencil, trace all the way around her. Then using a craft knife, if I can get the top off of it, there we are, I'm going to cut her out. And the easiest way to do this with a craft knife is to think of leaving the craft knife in place, but turning your paper for all of these cuts. She has a lot of very smooth lines, very smooth curves. Once you have your little lady cut out, you'll end up with this. And you can just pop her out, like so. And if you notice on my woman, I don't know if you can see or not, hopefully you can, there are a few places where I strayed away a little bit from my pencil line, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. You have a little bit of wiggle room in this project, and it will look gorgeous in the end no matter what. So don't kill yourself trying to get too exact. So here I have some paper for iris folding, and when you're choosing paper, the best rule of thumb is the thinner the paper, the better your outcome is going to be. So these are both actually wrapping papers, Christmas wrapping paper to be exact. The gold one actually does say Merry Christmas, but once we get the project done, you won't be able to tell whatsoever. It'll just look like a design. So I cut the wrapping paper into strips, and I just need to know that my strips are long enough to cover the longest part of the dress. So I know that this is long enough because there's some overhang, which is good and which I need, so I know I'm okay. And while I have this here, it's also important to remember, although the dress is the centerpiece of this iris fold, you also have areas of skin, 2 arms and a back, you have her hair, and you have the waistband. Once I have my paper strips cut, then I just like to fold them in half by hand first. Just get the crease going. And this strip is a longer strip, but I'll be cutting it down as I do the iris folding. Let me scoot these aside. And once I have it started, I simply take my bone folder and I make that a really nice crease.
I'm now ready to begin my iris folding. I have my template here on my mat and my cardstock on top of the template, and I've lined it up as closely as possible to that template because, like I said earlier, there were some areas that weren't exact, but I'm going to show you that that doesn't matter. So we need to secure this to the mat. So I have 2 post-it notes, and I developed this little technique after ruining the back of many pieces of cardstock doing iris folding. So I just placed the post-it notes onto my cardstock, and then I'm going to tape the post-it note down to my mat. And it may seem that post-it notes won't hold, but really they will. And then I'm just going to take 2 more little pieces of tape and tape my template to my mat. It doesn't matter if this rips a little bit because I can always make another copy of it after it's been used a few times. And as you can see, that keeps everything from shifting, and I don't have to worry about it. So now that that is done, I can move on to begin the iris folding. Now, the belt on this template is the first thing that needs to be done. And you can either use a ribbon for the belt, or you can actually use paper. If you use paper, you need to do what is called a double fold. And be sure you use your bone folder to make sure that everything is completely as flat as possible. And there you have your double fold. So it's a fold on both sides. And that is your belt. And that's where you want to start. So I'm going to place my belt down there. And I'm going to trim a little bit more off. And I'm going to line that belt up like so. And because this is a little bit of a tricky area to get tape into, I'm going to just use my zig pen and put a couple little spots of glue there to help me out. Lining my belt up again, and there we are. So now I can move on to her arms, and this template is numbered so that the arms are 1, the dress is 2 and 3, and then we go over into 4 over here. So I can just line up her arm, and this needs to be the flesh tone paper for her arm. And once again, I want to put just a little bit of glue just to begin with, just for my zig pen, just for this little area. And line that up. And use a piece of tape to hold that down. Now I'm moving on to her dress, the number 2 and number 3 in this template. And I'm just cutting off 4 small strips of my paper to create the upper back portion of her dress. So I've done my belt 1, 2, and 3, and now my template says 4 is over here, but we don't go on to 4 just yet. We need to do her upper body. And the reason that I do that at this point rather than going on to 4 and then doing that at the end is because if I have this covered, I will have completed her entire upper body before I go on to the skirt, which I think is a smart thing to do.
Now, I'm ready to move on. My back is covered, and this is a different one. I've switched out on you. But I'm ready to move on to doing the skirt. And this is really the easy part. Once the top is done, it's smooth sailing from here. So I've just cut a few strips, smaller strips. And I'm just going to go in order by the numbers, 4, 5, 6, all the way around. So now I have completely covered my opening with my paper, and I've gone back over and applied tape all the way over the back. If you get some that hangs off of your cardstock, don't worry, you can always trim that later. Now it is the revealing moment. So I'm just going to remove my Post-its. Super simple. Don't have to worry about damaging the back of your cardstock. And I can turn my image over, and there we have her. I've actually already gone in with a souffle pen, which is a liquid embossing pen, and started giving her hair a little bit of embellishment. As you can see, the wet parts are up here, and the gray parts that you see are the dry parts, and it's actually raised, just like embossing, but you have the controllable pen. Great little product. Just to give some definition, you know, this is the point where you go in with your little zig pen and glue down any little things that you want, you know, to lay a little flatter. But that is pretty much it. Let me grab Marilyn, my other one. And I call her Marilyn because this dress is very, very reminiscent of a dress Marilyn Monroe wore in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
I hope that this video has demystified this particular iris fold template so that you feel comfortable enough to give it a try.
After you get what you want, you don't want it